Okay, so this wasn't really a planned video, but I feel I really have to discuss this issue. It's not something I can just pass over because it is possibly the ugliest example of modern feminism that I have ever seen, possibly. And that is saying something, believe me. Uh, so I want to discuss this because it really gives a lot of credence to the previous video I made on feminism as it currently is. Um, what I'm going to talk about was not reported at the time, and I've just come across it. But the fact is indisputable because there's ample video evidence of this. So it's not just a rumor. Sometimes you do hear rumors about certain aspects of feminism, and there isn't a great deal of basis behind it. But this thing clearly happened. It's on footage, and the footage is very disturbing. So basically, this is the context, and before I made this video, I was very careful to do research. When I talk about something like this, I always try to do research before talking. Um, so basically, this occurred in the city of San Juan in Argentina 3 years ago, 2013. Um, November 2013 to be precise. And it took place during something called the National Women's Forum, I believe, which is a gathering in Argentina for Argentine feminists to raise their concerns about women's issues. Well, there had apparently been a threat to vandalize a cathedral in San Juan, and the specific agenda of this campaign or this attack was in support of abortion. Now, whether you are pro-choice or pro-life, and by the way, I see both sides. I'm not. That's something I still on the fence with because I honestly do see both sides. But wherever your position on that is, um, if you see this video and you're a decent human being, no reasonable person can condone what these women done. So basically, there were a group of men, um, Catholic men, who decided that they were going to protect the cathedral from the vandalism that was being threatened. So they wanted to protect their place of worship. So they formed a human chain outside it. Peaceful. And the footage verifies this. It's peaceful. Um, These militant feminists decided to physically attack the men. They degraded them, sexually assaulted them by physically pushing the breasts up against these guys, um, sprayed all sorts of obscenities on the men's bodies and faces, spat on them, um, gesticulated in front of them, shouted obscenities. The slogan apparently was "Keep your rosaries off our ovaries." So you get the idea. But don't take my word for it. I'll put a link in his video, and I have to say, watching that really, really sickened me. And it is an utter disgrace. The police were asked why they didn't intervene. They said, "We can't, they're women." Well, that is disgraceful. An utter, utter disgrace. Those, as we would say, I don't know what the Argentine Spanish equivalent is, but in the UK we would describe that as outright thuggery. And apparently they shouted, my Spanish is patchy, but apparently they shouted, "We want to be lesbians, transvestites, etc." You know, whatever your position is on this, you don't have to be anti abortion to see that their behavior was downright wrong. And I've just been looking at an American newspaper talking about the potential between clashes between secularism and religion that could occur in the US. Now, I'm not religious and I've been pretty critical of organized religion, but the facts are the facts in this case. And the fact is, those men stood there, took the abuse, and did not retaliate. And it takes it must have taken incredible willpower and self restraint to not retaliate. They just stood there and took this vile, vile abuse, this degradation, this humiliation. I think it's disgusting. And it says a lot that was barely reported at the time. You know, as someone in the US publication, I forget which publication it is, but as someone pointed out, the writer of that article pointed out, imagine had this been a black church and a group of neo Nazis behaved that way in front of it, there would be world headlines condemning it. But because we have this strange notion that feminists are above criticism, it's it really, really watching that made me very, I was going to say very angry, but actually very disturbed. My sentiments right now are more disturbed than angry, disturbed that this could go on and that these disgusting, disgusting people could get away with it. I mean, I understand that the abortion issue is a very emotive one. I get that. And I understand that for a lot of women it is an issue of sovereignty of the body. But at the end of the day, you just don't win arguments by behaving that way. Why not challenge these men to a debate, a civil debate? Instead, they decided to go there purely to vandalize, purely to humiliate these guys. I am sure, had this been broadcast, the vast majority of women would have totally disavowed it. Now, I understand that Argentina is a Catholic country. It's probably quite a religious country. I don't know, to be honest. It's my assumption. But the fact of the matter is, these women, so called women, have no excuse for the disgusting way in which they were behaving. And I just find it utterly astonishing that I'm only reading about this now, that it wasn't a big story at the time. I'm someone who follows the news very, very closely. And I'm sure if this had been covered back in 2013, I would have known about it because I follow world news very, very closely. Um, and I'm not saying I can know everything all the time, but my point is I've got access to international channels. I follow news very, very closely. So clearly there was censorship on this case. It was underreported. And that is an utter, utter travesty. Where the hell was CNN? Where the hell was the BBC? It's disgraceful. And it pisses me right off, to be blunt about it. Now, if that, I'll put a link on this video. Watch the link, and if you're a feminist, I want you to tell me that you justify that, and I want you to tell me why. Or, if you're a decent human being, then disavow it. Prove that you're moderate. Prove that you're a reasonable human being, and say, yes, I'm a feminist, but what these women was doing was downright wrong. Just for once, I would like a moderate feminist to take on the extremists. I'm yet to see that. And I want to be proved wrong, I really, really do. But what I've just watched, I think, really sums up just how ugly and, as we can see here, violent modern feminism has become. Now, I think if people who are sitting on the fence or people who think that feminism is all about equality saw this video, they would start to think differently. Now, no doubt there will be feminists who say, oh, but they're just extremists. Okay, well, then disavow them, condemn them vocally. If you're not prepared to do that, then don't tell me that they don't represent feminism. I think it's reprehensible they weren't arrested on the spot. The police had a responsibility, as they do in any country, to keep law and order. Now, they weren't doing that. I think that's disgraceful. I don't know whether it was just their own initiative or whether they're actually prevented by law from acting, which, if true, is an utter disgrace. And, this happened in Argentina, but it could have happened in the US, it could have happened in Canada, it could have happened in Britain, because that is just how ugly modern feminism is becoming. In fact, in point of fact, there have been similar, though slightly less dramatic, scenes in Canada. A few years ago, the University of Toronto, a bunch of militant feminists violently disrupted a men's seminar. And it sickens me to the core, not that it is happening, but that there is a media blackout of it. Why? This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a fact. The media hugely underreports the very deeply intolerant side of feminism. Why? Why? And I really think if moderate feminists saw that, they would either have a change of heart or they would be really not a change of heart about their views, but a change of, I want to post it on my Facebook page to draw awareness of the case, but it's too fucking disturbing, quite frankly. Sorry for the language, but I'm really quite upset about this because it's, the restraint those guys showed was utterly incredible. And that maybe is a testament to the power of faith that they could stand there and take that abuse without lashing back. And you know what? Who would blame them if they did? These, ah, I'll leave it there, but I'll put a link to this, let you make your own judgment. This video is not, by the way, about being for or against abortion. That's not why I'm uploading this video. So please don't come on the video and say, oh, you're wrong about abortion, because I've said I'm on the fence with it. I see both sides. But it's not about that. That is not the point. The point is the approach that they took. And the approach is disgusting. Thank goodness some footage of that exists because, I have to upload this to draw attention to this because it's a total disgrace that the media did not report that at the time. Total disgrace. Now, if you are, final point, if you are very, very, very much pro-choice, all I would say is that is not the point of this video. The point is the approach. I believe you could be passionately pro-choice or passionately pro-life, but it's all to do with the approach you take. Now, to be fair, I suppose I should put a caveat to this, and that is in the US, you do get pro life extremists who firebomb abortion clinics and so on. But really, this is not that different. It's also political extremism, it's also using violence to make a point. Now, maybe they weren't killing anyone, but they were sexually assaulting these guys, they were publicly humiliating them. Disgusting behavior.